Where do I begin? But we must have waited in that shipping container for like 30 minutes. We're getting started. Hi, my name is Susie etc. and welcome to my channel. This is basically my home for anything that I love, so theme parks, horror, games, fitness, anything like that. You'll find it here. So we visited on the 15th of October, so about a week or so ago now. We did all the main mazes, so we did the Attic, Altonville Mine Tours, Dad's Panic, Reloaded I think it's called, and then also Compound, which is new for 2024. I'm basically just gonna talk through one by one. If there's spoilers, I'll probably just flag it. I don't know if I'm gonna spoil anything until I start talking, but I will flag that if there's gonna be any spoilers. I'll try not to give spoilers, but that's pretty hard in a maze review. So I've done a few of Alton Towers mazes before. I have done Altonville before, but that, I think the one that we did this year was called Tiny's Revenge, and previously it was just like Legend of the Skin Snatchers. So that's when I did it previously, so I haven't done this version of Altonville. I haven't done the original Dad's Panic, so when I did Dad's Panic Reloaded, that was completely new. The Attic I've done before, and Compound obviously is new for 2024, so that was new to me as well. First maze that we did was the Attic. Again, I have done this maze previously before. I didn't remember too much of it, so I wasn't really too excited going into it because I knew that I didn't really remember much from it last time. But we figured we'd do that one first because I'd already done it. My partner Tom hadn't done it before, and this was his first time doing scare mazes, so I should have got him on to do his opinion because he'd never done scare mazes before. We did both Scarefest and Fright Nights, but the first maze we did was the Attic. The main issue at Towers this year, and just theme parks in general, is batching. The batching for the mazes is terrible. I'm gonna try not to swear because I'm gonna have to censor myself in the video, and I don't want to do that. That's extra editing. But the main issue is batching. We got the pass holder discount for doing the earlier sections in the mazes, so I think it's between, I don't know if it's like 1 and 3 p.m. that if you book between that time slot. So we booked to do the mazes at 3 p.m. so we could do them cheaper. They're all inside, so it really made no difference to me whether we did them later in the evening or not. So I would much rather get them done first off, and hopefully we get a better run through. So the first one that we did was the Attic. There were like 4 people ahead of us already in the queue. We joined the queue, and then there were a couple more that joined behind us literally just after we got in the queue, and they decided to batch the whole group of like 10-12 people. I don't know about everybody else, but I would much rather wait, because you pay a fair amount to do the mazes at Towers. I think it was like 30 quid. I know it's a lot more like independent scare parks and stuff, but that is a whole different ball game. But considering how much you pay, I'd much rather wait an extra 5 or 10 minutes to do the maze. Maybe not in your own group, because again, it was just me and my partner, but in a smaller group, like a group of 4 or 5, like less than 10, you know? That is the main issue throughout all the mazes that we had at Towers, is batching was terrible. But, and also with the Attic, I cannot stand the fact that you have to cannot stand the fact that you've got to go up like 5 flights of stairs, rickety wooden stairs, to get to the maze. I'm not the fittest of people, working on it, but not the fittest of people, and it's certainly not accessible. Like, I don't know if the maze actually has like an accessible route for the people that need wheelchair access and stuff like that, because if it doesn't, get rid of it, get rid of the maze. Like, I'm not a big fan of the Attic anyway. Theming's good. There weren't many actors in when we did the run through, and it was, some scenes were way too dark. Both in Altonville and the Attic, I found that the overall maze, some of the scenes were too dark. Like, I couldn't see where I was going. So I'm more concentrating on the fact that I can't see where I'm going and I need to try and figure it out, and next minute I'm bumping into a wall and stuff like that. And you also can't see the makeup and the costuming of the actors that are in there because it's too dark. So overall for the Attic, I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10. Like, I think it's been there for a few years now. It's time for it to go because it's not the most, I actually kind of see it more as like more of a intenser family maze like Darkest Steps. Darkest Steps was a really good maze, and I'd much rather have done a run through of that than the Attic. But it feels more like a family kind of maze, I'm not gonna lie. Love the acting, great. Love the story, love the idea, but I just think it fell a bit flat for me. Not enough actors, too many stairs, and just not scary enough. It's just not scary enough. The next maze that we did was Altonville Mine Tours Tiny's Revenge. Altonville Mine Tours has always been a favourite of mine. I think it's one of the best themed mazes that I've done, especially at Towers, but also in comparison to some of the independent scare parks that I've done as well. I think that Altonville has really stood out there for theming and acting. And thank goodness we had a solo run through of this. It was just me and Tom, which I'm so glad that he got to experience this maze like this because it was great. So we did that after we did the attic, and luckily nobody joined the queue, and we were stood outside the tent at the front bit. There are going to be spoilers here. We stood outside the front of the tent, and this was new because when I originally did Altonville Mine Tours, before you even got to that section, you used to line up, and then the person at the front and the back would have like a helmet on with the light on and stuff, which I did enjoy that element, so I was a bit gutted that they don't do that anymore. But also we were in a small group, so it wouldn't have really, it was literally just me and Tom, so it wouldn't have made any difference at all. But it just gets you immersed a little bit more, you know, just giving people a little helmet to put on because you really feel like you're going down in the caves. In the caves, in the mines, in the caves, in the mines. And we were waiting outside the tent, and we really couldn't hear when the actor was coming. So when they quickly opened the tent, I was like, we're getting started. So we did that pre-show was completely new to me. So I really thoroughly enjoyed the pre-show. The acting was amazing. He was really getting in our faces and stuff like that, and I was really immersed, really getting into it. And then obviously the lights go out, and then the next minute I was on the right, so the actor that came out with like the gas masks, I don't know what it is about gas masks, but they are fucking terrifying. Like throughout that maze there were quite a few actors with those on, and it was so unnerving, and it just made that experience ramp up a little bit more for that maze. So then the lights come back on. The guy that we originally had doing the pre-show was dead on the table. So awesome, so awesome. I'm trying not to swear because I'm trying to express how good this maze was. And then the actor was right in front of my face with the gas mask on, and it made me jump. I didn't expect it at all because normally when that's happened in a maze before, you can sense the actor there. Even if you don't hear them, you can sense that feeling of them right there. But because he wasn't right in my face, he was just in my peripheral, he just lined it up perfectly and really made me jump. And then we went straight into the maze, literally just me and Tom, and it was great. We didn't get split up or anything like that, but there were points where Tom was in front and then he'd go through, and then an actor would block me from coming through, and then they'd be feeling my hair and stuff and talking about like, oh, you're beautiful, I want to snatch your skin and stuff like that. Like, I'm flattered. It's obviously done in a creepy way because they're trying to snatch your skin and like that, but it's so good. The interaction with the actors are so good. There were lots of actors in this maze, really, really great. Theming is always on point. Sometimes there's actors behind you, in front of you, but just having that experience of going through in your own group just elevated that maze so much more. Really, really strong maze. Right at the end, obviously we knew there was going to be a chainsaw. I'd done the maze previously before, but we heard it before when we went past and another group was coming out. There's a long tunnel from what I can remember, and it looks like you can just get out, and you come out the maze, and Tom spotted where he was going to come out from because it was the only place that he could come out from. So that was the only bit that was a little anticlimactic to me. I would have much rather in the tunnel where you're still in the maze, as you're walking out, they come from behind you, because that's what's going to get people to run out of the maze. That never gets me with chainsaws. I don't understand the people that run, because if you run, they're gonna come after you, you know what I mean? The best thing to do is not just run. I just kind of stand there and keep walking. Like, you're not going to get me with a chainsaw. I love the effects of chainsaws in mazes. I just think it, like with Creek Freak at Thorpe Park, I always loved that maze so much, and it's a shame that maze went. It was a really good experience. I'd probably give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I don't like to rate things super highly, but that was the best maze that we did at Scarefest. But I do agree that maze has been there for a while. I know it's had some changes, and to be fair, the changes that I've had from when I previously had run-throughs of it were an improvement. They were really good, but I don't even think it needed an improvement. But I really enjoyed it. But I do agree that its time has come. I've done it I think 3 times now, like different seasons as well, one of them including this season. I think it is time for it to go, time for it to be retired, but it is a really good maze. And then next we did, we took a bit of a break. I think we did some rides because you have like a 2-hour window to do everything. And then next we went to Daz Games. Where do I begin? I'm gonna try and not to swear. It's not even a maze. Let me just get that straight. It's not even a maze. I didn't have the highest hopes because I knew the previous year of them doing Daz games was not great. I didn't know why because I wasn't following theme park stuff at the time. So going into this and seeing just the general idea of it's not very great, but I didn't know what the maze was about. So I was like, I'll give it a chance. Like, we're here to do it, but I wasn't expecting much. There was no queue outside when we went in. We got a wristband, scanned it, go in, get your symbols, remember them, fine. We were stood for like half an hour inside, and this is in an early maze time slot, by the way. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people were just one-shotting doing the Daz stuff because obviously it's a sponsored maze, but we must have waited in that shipping container for like 30 minutes. I was bored. I was really bored. And then the pre-show came on. I thought it was cool because I rate Daz, like, I love horror games, think his content's great. But I really do think that, like, he probably did not have, I don't know, but it just doesn't feel very Daz. Like, Daz does some intense horror games, but obviously he's probably working within a budget and stuff like that. But if I were Daz and that's the maze that they've come out with, I would be annoyed. I would be annoyed. After waiting for like 30 minutes in the shipping container, like, your symbols are on the screen and you're just sat there trying to remember them. That's all you're really concentrating on. You get shoved into this room. There must be like 30, 40 people in this maze at the same time, and you have to go around looking for your symbols, solving the activity. Some of them don't even have an activity, which is also confusing as well. I can't remember which symbols that I had. I think it was triangle and star, and I think it was star that took me ages to find. There's way too many people in this room, and like, people are getting jump scared by each other because we're going around corners and people are trying to like get round and find their symbols, and people are jump scaring each other. When I first went in, I thought the actors looked really cool with like the whole white get up and then like black piercing eyes, and I was like, that is creepy. But then, like, there's like next to no actors in there. I really feel for the actors that are working in that maze because it's trash. It's absolutely awful. It's not a maze. You literally get shoved into a room, have to press these buttons on a wall and then get out. I didn't get out in enough time. I did my symbols, but then I ran into Tom, who was in the maze, and he couldn't find one of his symbols. And even when I was looking for mine and I knew what his symbols were, I didn't see any of his symbols at all. So it's just pure crap. It's never ever a good idea. You're never gonna get a good maze, even though it's not a maze really. You're never gonna get, with that many people you put in a maze at the same time, that's never gonna be a good experience. What are you playing at? But by the sounds of it, it was bad last year, but I don't know if it's worse this year. But I certainly, if I paid to one-shot that maze and came out of that, I would be wanting my money back, just saying. It's just a waste of space. I'd much rather than get rid of it. Somebody, I think it was on Your Experience Guide, go check out that video, it's really, really good. They mentioned if it was a year-round attraction, you pay an upcharge and you do it and there's less people going in, it would work. Fully can get behind that, like they do with Black Mirror Labyrinth at Thorpe Park, make it an upcharge. Although I hate that maze as well. That's absolutely fine as long as it's not taking up a slot for something that we could have that is so much better at Scarefest, you know. Really, really hated it. I don't even want to give it any score out of 10. I get the idea, so maybe I'll give it a 1 out of 10. I don't know. No, you know what? No. I did not enjoy it at all. I came out and I was literally like, what the... I went in expecting not much and I still came out disappointed. That's how bad it is. Don't bother. Daz Black, I think you're great, I think you're funny, I think you're brilliant, love your content, but I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. And then finally, we went to Compound. I wanted to do this one last because I've seen everybody hyping it up. To me, it looks similar to what Subspecies was like. It's my favourite maze at Towers I've ever done. When Subspecies first came out, I can't remember when I did it, but it was intense as hell. Literal tunnels that you crawl through and there's people in the tunnels and stuff like that. I thought Compound was going to be like that. Everybody was hyping up, so we were like, save the new one till last. I was disappointed. I get what they were trying to do. The actors, the two ones that were outside that like line you up and stuff, I get that they're trying to be scary and stuff, but I actually thought they were quite rude. I get it, but they didn't say anything and they brought us round the back of the building and everybody formed a line. And where me and Tom were, we were gonna be like backing round to where the building was. So Tom took it upon himself to start another line at the back. The guy was like, I can't even remember what he said, and he was like, he was like, get in the line, and like mocking the fact that he'd like me. And I'm just like, I get that you're supposed to be bossy and stuff like that, but like it just came across as rude. And if it would have happened to me, like it would have irritated me even more. So I was like, I get that you're trying to be scary, but you can be scary without being rude, just saying. So that already put me off to a bad start. And then you get split up. I was put in the first bit. I don't know if it's supposed to be a lift, I really don't get it. But the theming looked like it was going to be awesome. You could see what they were trying to do with this maze, and there was me and a random woman put in another cage or whatever. We watched the pre-show and then we go through the maze, and like I don't remember much at all other than like you're being separated in and out of different rooms, and that's it. And I'm like, where are the scares? Like even when I've been split up, even when I was on my own, it wasn't scary. I'm like, it's way too short. The theming is good. The theming is great. There were a fair amount of actors in there, but overall, I don't remember much. Like honestly, I'd give Compound, I want to give it like a 5 out of 10, like with the Attic, but the Attic had so much more going for it, I think. Maybe a 4 out of 10 for Compound, because the theming and obviously the lore and stuff was carrying it really, but really disappointed. It's one of those things where like the people that get asked to say their opinions or are even paid to, like, they get free access to the mazes and stuff, they are going to form a different opinion. I'm not saying that's like what all the content creators are like, but I feel like because everyone was like, oh, this maze is amazing, it's so intense and scary, and then me being a chicken and absolute wuss going in and being like, what was that? Yeah, I didn't enjoy it at all. It's not great, it's not the worst, but for it being their new attraction that everybody was hyping up, I wasn't a fan at all. So overall, my favourite was Altonville Mines, second to that the Attic, then probably Compound, and then Daz Games. Daz Games doesn't even sit on the list, to be quite honest with you. But overall, I had an amazing time. I was with my partner Tom and my brother. I still had a great time, but for me personally, it was the worst Scarefest that I've ever been to. I think Towers really need to shake things up. I feel like they need to get rid of everything that they've had in this season. Daz was already pre-existing, the Attic was pre-existing. I know there's been changes throughout the mazes and stuff. Altonville was pre-existing, and then Compound, which was new, which I didn't even enjoy. I just think they need to shake things up. I feel like Compound's obviously going to be there for the next couple of years. It needs to be much more intense, it needs to be changed. And then everything else just needs to be new. Obviously I can't speak on stuff like the Trick or Treat Town or Amigos in the Afterlife because I didn't do it, but I've only heard positive things from those. It's great that they've got stuff in for the kids and stuff like that. Tower Street looked great, but like a lot of people have said, outside of Tower Street and everything else in the park, there's no theming. We have Gloomy Ward. What's gloomy about it? It's gloomy because it's probably a rainy day and it's foggy, but like nothing's going on there at all. We need to make things creepy. We need to make things spooky for spooky season. I missed it when like the path down to the Smiler, when you come past Spinball, you used to go down there and it's like a free scare zone. One thing I didn't speak about was Burial Grounds. Burial Grounds is fantastic. Did it in the day. I don't think we went through it at night. Did it in the day, and I even got jump scared in the day. That's how much of a chicken I am. That's how I'm very easily scared. I jump through my skin when I'm on Curse at Alton Manor. I don't know what it is. I think it's just the anxiety as I've gotten older. It's just, I love mazes, I love my horror, but I'm very easy to jump. So like for me, saying that these mazes didn't scare me is a really big thing. Burial Grounds was fantastic. I freaking love Wicker Man so much. Got a night ride on that. Even first thing in the day, Wicker Man was hauling. I genuinely now rate Wicker Man above Nemesis Reborn, because that ride is consistent. It's got theming, it's got lore, it's the whole package, and you can re-ride it constantly. Whereas Nemesis, like, it can be so intense that you can like ride it once in the day and be like, I'm done, you know what I mean? But Wicker Man has that re-rideability. It is so good. So when we did Burial Grounds, I got jumped and we did it in the day. Can imagine it is much better when it's a lot darker. It wasn't like bright and early in the day because it was 5 PM when it opens, but we did it. There's fire in there, there's a tunnel section in there. For that being free and that being a better experience than some of the mazes that we did and we paid for, Burial Grounds is fantastic. I wouldn't have an issue if that was still there for years to come. I think it's really, really great. good that it's free, and yeah, I much prefer that over some of the mazes that we paid to actually do. I know they were planning things and getting ready for fireworks, but why did we have the canopy over the top for Oktoberfest and then you took it down for when the weather gets worse in Scarefest? It makes no sense. And they just kind of like re-themed things. It's basically Oktoberfest with like some little changes to what's on the grounds, on the grass. I saw more of it during Oktoberfest and it fit for that, but it's more themed for that, and then they only slightly change some of the colours and stuff like that. But why take down the canopy? It doesn't make any sense. I can understand like the week before fireworks or however long you need, but like it just doesn't make sense for the weather. Like I think something needs to be changed there. But overall, I had a good time because I was with family, but Towers needs a bit of a shake up when it comes to Scarefest. I'm excited to see what they do next year. I know things with money can be tight, but it's like I can understand budget constraints and having to cut back, but if you're cutting back and we're not seeing what that money's then going into at the park, that's when you've got to raise questions, you know. I didn't eat at Towers, but both my brother and my partner ate from Burger Kitchen and neither of them really rated it. And for the amount that you pay, like, come on, we need the money going back into the park somewhere. But overall, yeah, this has been the worst Scarefest that I have been to, unfortunately. Still enjoy going to Towers, but I just think that we need a bit of a shake-up. We need a bit of a shaking, you know? And Towers is my favourite UK park. Obviously, it's on my doorstep, less than an hour away. It's just really disappointing. But yeah, if you want any more content like this, my channel is just going to be a mishmash of anything and everything that I enjoy. But I will be doing a video on my thoughts about Fright Nights, because I did that a day or two after we went to Alton Towers Scarefest. So I'll probably do a bit more of a comparison in that video. So if you are interested, drop me a subscribe if you'd like to do that, and you'll get notified when I upload that video. But those are my thoughts for Alton Towers Scarefest 2024. I hope to see some changes for next season, fingers crossed. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I've been Lizzie, etc., and bye.